Alright, so what we got here is a pair of Bolle sunglasses. We got this nice case. These are not cheap sunglasses, and these arms are broke off. So, what we're going to do is I'm going to show you several different ways. Actually, I'm going to show you one way to repair these where the ends are broke off. And we're going to use some JB Weld Super Weld. And we're going to use some super cheap Harbor Freight super glue. And some baking soda. And that's how we're going to repair these guys. And wait, we're using some Hildy and Joy. This green copper wire from Joann Fabrics. I think it's 22 gauge. And some heat shrink tubing. Some small stuff and some big stuff. And we're going to get a usable pair of glasses again. And, you know, these aren't cheap glasses. So fixing these broke off ends is worth it. I don't know what Bolle glasses cost right now, but they aren't cheap, and these are nice glasses. When you look through these, I've already cleaned them once. When you look through these, they're really nice. So let's fix them so that they are usable, and like you can have them in your car, and you could wear them for driving, because these ones have the blue reflector on them. These are great for bright light driving. And let's fix them. And let's get them back together. And we're going to use some of our skills from rebuilding model trains. Let's see if we can fix a pair of glasses. All right, our first step here is going to be to these rubber pieces here that go alongside your head. Inside these things, they fit into here. All right, and so they fit in here, and because they are flexible and everything, well, we got to find a way. We got to find a way to keep them in here, and I think, and they're old, and they are getting a little bit kind of crappy. So what I want to do first, in order to do this bond, which we're going to use super weld. And if we do this right, so let's say we did it wrong. We filled this thing with super weld and put them in there. In extreme cold, when the rubber shrinks, they'll just come out, or they'll just turn to crap, and they'll be no good. All right, so one of the things I'm going to try to do, let's take my scribing pencil first. And let's see if we can scribe in this channel. Yeah, we can. Just scribe some lines in there. Oh, yeah, that's easy. Okay, check it out. See them scratches? That's all you need. Now, this side here has got the old glue in it. Let's see if we can kind of clean that out. Yeah, it's not real. And whatever these glasses are old, so the coating on them, see that right there? That's coming off. And because, hey, these have been around for a while. Still, though, they ain't cheap glasses. You don't need that coating. Let's just get rid of it. Let's just scratch it off. All right. Now, one of our problems is this one here, which goes on this side. When these broke, they're missing a part, which should go just... You see that? Okay, hold it. See, it should go just like that. That means we're going to need to do a fill. And I got an idea. I think we can fill it. Oops. Man, you can't even see that, can you? Let's do it. Look at this again. Okay, now, those of you guys who know, you know how I'm going to fill that, right? Yeah, then we're gonna do our special modification, and we'll do a fill there. And the other plan for this is we're going to use a bunch of heat shrink, and we're going to use some wire, because there's no way we can bond. We cannot bond in any useful way like that and have it stay without breaking again. So we got to do something. We got to do something a little more robust, which we're going to do. But first, let's get his glue out of there. Let's clean him out. And dang, that's pretty. Wow, that's really easy to clean out. It shouldn't really be that easy, but it is, and so that makes me somewhat suspicious. But to find out what's going on here with this, let's go ahead and take a paintbrush, and in the beaker again, I've got acetone. You know, as we like to use to clean soldered stuff, let's take some acetone on here and see what happens. You know, acetone will attack plastic, right? But we don't need that much, and it'll evaporate right away. And it might, yeah. See that? See how it took all the crap out of there? Because it will attack plastics, and it'll attack glue residue, which we want. Let's just hit it one more time quick, and then we'll scratch it. Okay. All right. There. And that's all you need. You don't need to... If you go too far with that, it'll start melting this thing. All right. So, now let's scratch this guy up. Take our scriber. We'll put a few scratches. Not too many, just a few. Just like that. See that? That's all we need. Okay, so now what we're going to do. This is the first time I've ever used the super weld. But it is cyanoacrylate, which is super glue. So, let's see if we can figure out which one's which here. Since these are really worn out, we have to look at their shape. That shape. And then, look, the other one is the other way. So one of them's left and one of them's right. And so this one is definitely that guy. And this one's definitely that guy because left and right. All right. Now, this guy's so worn out that he doesn't even fit all the way down in here anymore. In fact, he's like about 1/8 of an inch too long. So what we're going to do, we're just going to trim that because this is wearing out pretty fast. But if we attach this successfully, it'll be okay. Let's trim this much off. These are not new glasses, but they're Bolles. They're expensive enough to make it worthwhile. Okay, that won't be bad. So let's see. Now we need to get our usual super glue setup here, which is basically a paper towel with a bunch of baking soda on it. We're not going to use the baking soda on this part. Let's see if we can get a blade here that's clean. All right. Now, if we can do this right, and this guy goes in just like that, what I want to try to do is get a bead. I think I'm going to put the bead right here. Yeah, let's first find out how it flows. Okay, so let's see how it flows onto the... I was testing on the paper, right? Okay. So here's my spot that's full of super glue so I can test it. Because I don't know how it's going to flow. Okay, I see it coming. Oh, it's... Okay, so it's like a gel. Okay, so it's kind of a gel. So let's do this then. Let's put a glob of gel right here. And since there's so much super glue tested here before, this glob of gel is not going to go away just right away. Okay, and then we can take our blade and we can scoop a little bit like that. Now let's scoop that little bit and let's put a bead down here. We gotta work fast now. Let's get some more. Put just a little bit at the end, and then let's put a little bit at the back end. And we gotta do it quick. Okay. Now there's enough in here. There's that much in there. Let's spread it. It's not necessary to spread it end to end, but I want to get it in one of my scratches. Okay, there we go. So now let's take this guy. And if I've done this right, I'm not going to have a lot of overflow where it would like be out of the edges. You don't want to be touching your face. And if I press him in there, and then he's back in. All right, there we go. That's one. Now number two here is a little tricky. I think we're gonna wait on number two until we make the fill. So the fill part's going to be next. We're going to do the fill, then we'll put them in. All right, so here we are. This is the side where we have to make up for the difference in the missing piece that came out, where these two go together. So I've got it locked in the rubber jaw vise. Okay, so this goes in here, and there's like a triangular piece that's supposed to fit in here that can't because it's missing. Now, however we bond this, there is no way this is ever going to be strong enough. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the hefty stud modification. So for those of you who do not follow the rest of our stuff, when we do the hefty stud modifications, what we do is we usually take a piece of styrene like this. I just took a piece here and I cut it off with the scissors. And what we're going to do is we're going to put this in there with some, we're going to use the JB Weld Super Weld, and we're going to super glue. We're going to put in about like that much. All right. So we're going to get a bunch of super glue on there, and then we're going to take some baking soda, which is on that towel right there. We're going to put that in there. That's going to create a really hard resin. And yes, I know you're thinking right now, oh my God, that'll never hold. You're right, because it's a super hard resin, and this will be a super hard join. There's no way that's ever going to hold. Now, what you can't see is I already put a piece of heat shrink tubing down there. Okay, here's a piece of heat shrink tubing. Put that down there. You're right. There's no way. This thing is going to break after we're done. That's okay. What we need is for this thing to hold while we set up the strength, which we're going to use some wire for. So let's go ahead. All right, so let's go ahead. We're going to put in. And okay, so when you do this, you don't shape your piece first. You shape it after you're done. All right, so I got the piece of styrene ready. I've got the baking soda ready. I've got my blade ready. And I've got my glue ready. All right, so let's get the glue out of the thing. All right. Okay, let's get the glue out. I'm getting it out. Okay, I got the glue, got the gel, so now I'm going to put it on here. And I don't care how much gets on here. Well, I don't want it to be everywhere, but I got a bunch of gel on there. All right. Now I'm going to take this guy, and I'm going to stick him. I already checked, so he needs to go about right there. About like that, and I'm going to hold him. So now I got to back up a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. So I need to hold him right there, and I need to get some baking soda on my blade here. And I'm going to take this baking soda. I'll put this guy on, like right there. I'm going to drop that on. I should get a bond shortly. If I don't, okay, let's take him out. Okay, let's take him out. He's sort of on there, as you can see. I'm going to take him over here. Okay, let's check him. I see there's still some glue. We take more baking soda, throw it in there. Keep throwing it in there. So I don't know, I've never used JB Weld with the hefty stud modification. We are building a stud here. A stud, like, oh, in a house, and damn, that did not work. Okay, so JB Weld does not really care for that. All right, let's take some Harbor Freight super glue out here, which we know loves the hefty stud. Let's put that on there and see if we can. Okay, so I'm going to say, at the moment, JB Weld Super Weld gel is probably not the best choice for doing this kind of a thing. And the Harbor Freight stuff is just straight up, it doesn't have any working time or anything. And what we want is we'll get that on. We will shape it and everything when we're done. Alright, so now we've ended up with this. And that's what we want. Okay. Let's go ahead, lock them up again. Alright, now, what I want to do is I want to turn this so that that guy does not hit me. Okay, so let's zoom way out. All right, so now I'm going to take, so now this guy facing this way, we should be able to make that join. All right, let's get you to zoom in so you can see what join we're going to make. We're going to make that join. Okay, this is why we call it the hefty stud. Think of your house when you're trying to hang a picture. Some of you use stud finders. Right, so you have a hard point. This styrene connected with this baking soda super glue resin gives us the hard point that we need to have. And then once we've got this, we will shape it, and then we're gonna make it strong enough to actually put on your face. So the super weld was not a good choice for this, so we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna put a bunch of the Harbor Freight super glue on there, and we're gonna stick them. Ooh, that's getting, we don't need that much. Let's get them on there just like that. Okay, and then let's just take some baking soda off our sheet and drop it in. Just enough. We're gonna put some more in if I've got a hold. Remember, this is gonna be super brittle, but we will shape it when we've got it. Okay, so now I've got a tiny gap. I want to get the super glue in there like that, make a big little bubble. And then we take our knife. We're going to take that off. Doesn't matter on the outside. We can shape this when we're done, but for now we need a join. We need a join so we can actually join this thing later. And by later I mean shortly. I need all of the super glue that's on here to get joined like this in a big old globby, looks like a terrible mess. But if all of it's covered with the baking soda, I'll take it over to the air compressor, clean it, then we'll cut it and file it. All right, we got a join. Let's cut this guy down. We've got our stud, like a wall stud, in place. We got the old glob here, and we got the heat shrink on there. Let's go ahead and let's cut them down. Let's trim them, trim them, trim them. And now there are some spots in here where I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take the air compressor to make sure that we've got all of the super glue is out of there before I file it. Here's our bond. Okay, there's our hefty stud right there, the stud in the middle. And see all this crap around here? Now we got to shape that. And we got a super hard resin. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to file this. I'm not going to bore you with that detail, but I'm going to file it, and I'm going to get it smooth and get it so it kind of blends in and matches. And then we will work on the part where we're going to make it strong. So I have tried now on this file, wire wheel, a cutoff wheel and everything, and none of those are really that good, so we're going to go ahead with the 3-inch grinder. And we're going to take this, we're going to shape it. Now I don't know if you're going to be able to see all this, my hand's probably going to be in the way, but I'm going to shape it. I want it to be nice and smooth across, so this piece of heat shrink I have right there, see that piece right there? Okay, that's heat shrink tubing. I want that to be able to slip over this nice. Remember when I told you not to cut it off before you put it in? This is why. Because now we get to shape it. And this grinding wheel is going to shape that just nicely. We're going to get a nice shape right there. Now this resin only needs to stick long enough. It only needs to hold long enough before we add the strength to it. And then we're going to do the JB weld again. We're going to use that super bond. And I know after doing this, you need the super bond being a gel, gets your piece in there, and it holds it while you can get the baking soda on. It does not absorb the baking soda fast enough, so then you put on the cheap stuff. You put on the cheap super glue, and you get it all bonded on there. And now we're going to shape it. But that super bond told me one thing. That gel is going to be perfect for the next part. We're going to get this. And with this heat shrink tubing on you, you're not going to see any of this. You're not going to see what we actually did under the hood. And there's one piece here, which I may have to take off with some kind of a grinding wheel on my motor tool. But otherwise, it's shaping up. It's starting to shape up. So I need to get it flat enough. Oh yeah, yeah, this is doing the trick all right. It's hard to get the right angle on it, because there's a piece under here that I'd like to get, but I'll get that with the motor tool if I have to. If I can't do this, apparently I can do that. I can definitely smell super glue. That's probably not that good of a thing. Alright, we're pretty dang close. But like I said, this is a brittle bond right here. There's no way this bond would ever stand up to use. But it's starting to shape up nicely. Now this I can shape with the file. I'm going to shape the rest of it, and then we're going to go ahead and I'm going to show you how we're going to make it strong. Okay, so here we are. I got this thing in the rubber job vise. And what we're going to do now is we're going to add the strength. So this green, I'm using this green wire, but I don't remember what gauge it is. I think it is this. And I got it at Joanne Fabrics, 22 gauge copper wire, right? So that's what I'm going to be using. And I got two little pieces cut out here. Okay, now we're going to take the super weld again. Okay, so, and the reason we're going to use the super weld is it's like a gel. So these things should stick nicely right along here. And I want to use two of them, not just one. I want to use two. All right, so let me get these guys over here. All right, and I got my tweezers so I can pick them up. And I've got the super weld. Now let's get out our baking soda paper. We're not going to be using baking soda on this, but this paper is where I do my gluing. All right, so I always test my glue by going like this. And on the super weld, you can see it coming up because it's clear. And then there it is. Boom, I got a drop. Okay, now I'm going to put some super weld. Now this thing is broken off like 3 times now. I told you this thing is super brittle. So I'm going to put the super weld, because it's a gel, I'm going to put it right here. Just like that. Okay, oh, well, that's probably way too much, but it's on there. All right, so now what I want to do is I want to put on the 2 pieces. And the reason I'm putting on 2, one of them is not enough. Let's see if I can get it on there without okay, so the one thing about the super weld, it has working time, which is that's a really good feature of the super weld, is that I've got working time. That means it doesn't just like dry up right away. If I can get this on here. Oh man, I shouldn't even be using my fingers doing this. All right, so you're on there. All right, now let's place you, because you're not totally cured yet. I want to place these 2 side by side. If you use one wire, it's not going to work. you have to use 2 wires, and they got to be right next to each other like that. Okay, now they've got strength. Let's zoom in on them so you can see. And I'm going to give them a moment to get some strength. Let's zoom in. See that? Now this thing here, it's just barely. It's going to slide over that once it's cured. And once it is, I can heat shrink it. Then I'm going to take this big stuff, that, I'm going to heat shrink that over the top of all that. That way, when we're done with this and you put it on your face, it's going to be comfortable. And that's what we want. All right, so let's give that a minute. I know we've gone way into the territory of absurdity, but here we are, and check this out. So this heat shrink now, just it fits over the ends of these guys. So if I can, without wrecking it, I can possibly move it without breaking it, maybe. Maybe not. Gotta file it. Where's our file? Let's file it just a little bit. Okay. Now let's push it over again. If we make it, we got to make it past that little white mark there. That's our hefty stud. Now, if this heat shrink can do this without busting this thing off, oh, we're making it. We're getting close. Oh man, I don't know. We gonna do this? We gonna make it? We're actually gonna make this thing work? No way. Ready? Hey, you know the thing here in this shop. There's no such thing as too broken to be fixed. Okay, so we may have made it to the end of where this heat shrink can go, but so that JB weld, the super weld. Okay, that was just the right stuff for this copper wire. Now you could use steel wire. I like the copper wire because it's easier to work with. Okay. I think we've reached the limit on that heat shrink. Let's shrink it. Okay, let's shrink it. I got the soldering iron ready. Let's shrink this stuff. All right, we're going to shrink it. Temperature we have. Oh, we're only at 200. Let's turn up a little bit, but let's shrink it. See on the inside here? You're not going to feel that. You're not going to feel it on your head. But let's shrink this stuff. All right, that is just part of the bond. Now, being glued and shrunk in here, we may have to shrink it some more, but being glued and shrunk in here means that when that bond in there breaks, and it will, those wires are glued on there and they're heat shrunk in there. Okay, now that glue was only to hold these wires. It's the heat shrink tube that we want to hold the real thing. So we got to make sure we got it all shrunk up. And then we're going to, if we can, we're going to put another piece over here. Can we shrink it more? Or are we already shrunk? Okay, so there we go. That's probably as shrunk as we can get. And that's not terrible. Okay, so it ain't great yet, but it's not terrible. And I think, I don't know how we're going to do this. I want to put this piece on there, but I can't get it over that, can I? No, I cannot. So what am I going to do? We got to find another way. We have to find another way to get something on here to wrap. We're not taping it. Come on now. This is supposed to be for all you nerds out there, this is supposed to be way better than tape. It's pretty good right now, but it's not good enough. Let's see what we can do. All right, so we did the same thing on the other side. 2 heat shrink, 2 pieces of wire. Remember, 2 pieces of wire, not just 1. And the reason for 2 is you get them wired together, and they're much stronger than just a single one. But now we've got these guys back together. Okay, so yes, you can see the heat shrink tubing on the side. But if you're wearing these for something, it doesn't matter. You know what we should do, though? I'll tell you what we should do. I'll tell you what we should do is we should take our silver marker, and we should put that Bolle back on there, shouldn't we? Let's try it. Let's see if... Think we can do this? I think we can. Okay, so it says Bolle. It was supposed to be silver. I think if we use this marker and very carefully trace just a little bit, we can trace the Bolle. Yeah, we can. Huh. Just a little bit with our... Oh, it's not going to be great. But it's going to be decent. Okay, it's going to be good enough. Now I'm going to wipe that off with some mineral spirits, and we'll be good. There it is. There you have it. That's it.